Yes, guys, it's Suki from BTSTV, fueled by explosive ape and gold standard nutrition. And today is our first interview we're doing with a promoter from a UK federation. And no better place to start because this federation just had their British finals the weekend just gone at the beautiful venue of the Athena Theatre. And of course, we've got another big show with this federation coming up in 3.5 weeks, which is an international show, huge prize money. It can only be BPA. And I'm with the president and head judge, Helen. Helen, long time no see. How are you doing?
I'm very well. If you'd asked the same question Monday after the show, I would have had a different answer because I was absolutely shattered. We start early at 5 o'clock in the morning, go on till sort of 11:30, 12 o'clock at night by the time we've packed everything up and got home. So Monday's always a day where you have to just try and chill. But yeah, by now I'm actually relaxed and it's sort of in the history now. I've got to plan the next one.
Well, look, I mean, I've done the shows as well, so I know how much the day after the show can be, especially when you're looking back on things that went well, things that could be improved. You've got the socials, you've got the next big show in 3.5 weeks, which of course is an international show, big prize money up for grabs. I've seen the social posts of competitors coming from other international countries. Looks like it's gonna be a fantastic standard. But the best place to start is the British finals. And the one thing I love about the British Finals with BPA is, first off, is the venue. I love the Athena. I think it's a fantastic venue, and you always want to have a venue fitting for the British Finals. And secondly, the trophies. Really big fan of adding the BPA touch to the statue. So just want to look back at the British Finals. 7 overall champions, 7 new pro states competitors. How did you rate this year's British Finals versus 2023 British Finals?
It's so difficult to compare because the majority of the new champions are brand new to the BPA. So there was a couple of reigning champions, but I think the first year it was almost sort of a blur. We went into the shows and did some qualifiers, booked the venue, and it was almost like just another show, if you like, although the venue is fantastic, as you say. I mean, it's fitting to put champions that have gone through the qualifiers in such a tremendous theatre, and everybody that came in was so happy with it. It's beautiful place. We increased the number of competitors, so that's always good as well because it becomes more competitive within each class. So the first year, I think we had about 50 odd competitors. This year we were up to 70 plus, nearly 80 competitors. And although we're still new, the standard is beyond belief. I mean, to be able, as you say, to have champions from each category and then have overalls and see the quality, it was just, it's why we do it. I mean, that's why we're sat at this side of the table, so that we can enjoy the splendor of the athletes and see the joy in their face when they win.
So let's go back to why you do it. So obviously the majority of us will always know you back from UK BFF and of course Panthers Gym. That's where obviously I think with yourself, that's where we'll always remember you. In the bodybuilder side, we'll remember you, of course, in Gladiators as well. But I'm keen to understand then the reason then for BPA to be created, because as you're already aware of, the industry in the UK is very saturated when it comes to federations. So whenever a new federation comes into play, it's always interesting to understand the reason of why they felt that federation need to be created. What's something new they could bring to the UK bodybuilding scene? So I'm really interested to understand the reason for the formulation of BPA.
Well, initially it was didn't like where I was, didn't agree with a lot of things, couldn't make changes internally no matter how much I tried. And I just decided, if I'm unhappy at something, you may as well move on. And I still wanted to be involved in bodybuilding because it's something that's given me career. It's given me, as you said, the gym. It's given me the gladiators. And you want to still be involved because that's what's giving you something. So we want to give something back. So I was going to leave and maybe just do the English Grand Prix because that's what I'm known for. I've always promoted the English Grand Prix. It was the 10th anniversary this year. So I said to a couple of the guys, look, I'm going to move on and probably just have, an independent show. See how it goes. As long as I can give the athletes the prizes that I want to give, which I've always done, T-shirts, jackets, nice trophies, everything for the English Grand Prix. And a few of the guys said, well, we're not happy here either. We were thinking about the same sort of thing. So we had a chat and we decided that we try and form something that we could have a British finals at. So there was Steve Graham, Harry, there was Sugar, Francisco, and Nick Swan at the time. But like in any business, some gel and some don't. And there was two that didn't. They were in a different direction to the way me, Steve, and Harry were. So we decided just to carry on where we have democratic votes and somebody can be voted out and voted back in, and we'll work to strengths and weaknesses. And that wasn't what was happening where we were before. The same people were in charge all the time. Nobody got a chance to vote anybody out or vote somebody better in. We listen to every critique, and obviously it's nice to get good comments, but we want to listen to the bad comments so that we can constantly get better because we want to give the best to the competitors. And that's what we're hearing back. We may not have a lot of competitors with us because we are new, but the positivity from the ones that are competing with us, they see that we put everything into the shows. They see that they're getting, I've got it on the Instagram, VFM, value for money. So they get a trophy that's worth more than that entry fee. The girls get their tiaras, they get the flowers, they get T-shirts, they get champions jackets. So we've tried to just improve and improve. The staging is something else because we got a guy in called Spotlight Events, and he puts our staging together. And not only do we showcase the sponsors, but we showcase each category as the person comes on. And it's quite funny because we've got a tunnel and we've got smoke, we've got lights, we've got all this going on. And some of the competitors say that they feel like rock stars when they come onto our stage. And I say, that's exactly what we wanted. You are the stars of the shows, and without you, there wouldn't be shows anyway. So it's just a joy to see their faces and see how nicely they're being treated. And really, that's the top and bottom of why we started where we were. And we thought, it'll either work or not work. And we thought we'll give ourselves a few years to see. But the positivity that's radiating towards us, we just smile and we enjoy each other's company as well. So what we do, we thoroughly enjoy. So we're continuing. So we'll see what happens next.
So let's just touch on the athletes then, because for when athletes are choosing a federation to compete in, they want to understand the journey they can go with that federation, how far they can go through the different ranks. So do you want to talk me through the ranking process in regards to somebody competing as an amateur? How far can they go with BPA? What is that next level when they do win a class, they do win overall, they go to the finals? What is that trajectory look like for a BPA competitor?
Well, we have been in contact with a few international organizations. Some of them contacted us. We've contacted some because we understand some, but not all, want to go on to do international competitions. So we're looking at that. We haven't got anything organized at this stage. As I say, we're just coming out of our second season. And I think to be able to grow at that speed, it's difficult because then you lose what you've started out from. So we need to have the foundations first. We need the competitors to come to us to tell us what they want, really. So we are looking at being able to offer international competition to competitors. And also this year, what happened was I was doing some work with Dr. Vic, who's a big sponsor. I was doing that before BPA as well, and he sponsors all over the place, not just BPA. He's just somebody that gives back a lot because he's really interested in bodybuilding, and he wanted to leave a legacy. And he said, "Oh, you know, Helen, a lot of people want to be a pro." And I said, "Well, there's pros and cons about being a pro." He says, "Well, could you organize? Would you be happy to organize?" And he tried with the people that I was with before, and they went as far as to see a venue and didn't book anything. So he said to me, "Would you do it?" So I made the necessary contacts, and we managed to get the sanction to do the pro show. So he was really happy about that. But as I said, that is something that some people might want to do, but not everybody, because even given that ability to apply for a pro card this weekend at the British, there is still some doubt in people's minds, because if you think about it, if you're turning pro, you're on your own, you've got to find the money to travel. You're not going to get every pro show in the UK. So you're going to have to find your travel, your accommodation, and you're going to have to go to places and hope that you win prize money. Unless, of course, you can afford to do it on your own back or you've got a sponsor. So not everybody wants to be a pro. So we thought we'd give it a try and see how it goes down. It seems to be quite popular. We've got a pro show in the UK now called Night of Champions, and that's going to be on after the Dr. Vic Super Show. So it's a way for some people, if they wish, to go into that pro side.
So let's go back in regards to the international federations that you're potentially being linked with. Are you able to disclose some of those who you are speaking to? Because of course we did see the British finals awarding the IFBB Pro card, which was of course previously the IFBB Elite card, I believe. And I believe obviously that's one of the federations that you have been speaking to. Had there been, you said there's been other federations as well that has a international reach. Are you able to disclose who they are?
Yeah, I'd rather not until we've got something down. But just to sort of correct people's assumptions on this, the BPA aren't affiliated to any international organization as we speak. And I know what you're saying. The IFBB Federation is the amateur part, and the IFBB, which is now IFBB Pro Official, is the professional side, and they're not linked either. So the pro side isn't linked with any national federation. It's a standalone, and that's how we've managed to get the pro show. So it's two completely separate entities. So we're not affiliated to anyone, and the BPA isn't putting on the Night of Champions. It's actually Dr. Vic and myself. So the Night of Champions is sort of our name, our brand, if you like, with Dr. Vic. And the IFBB Pro side are the ones that are providing the judges and the facility to be able to step on the pro stage. But it's nothing to do with the amateur side, nothing to do with BPA. No national federation is part of the pro side. And I think that's where a lot of people have been mistaken. I think they've linked everything together. The names sound the same, but they're completely different entities.
Yeah, I think so. I know that's caused that's caused a little bit of confusion. Because of course I remember.
No, I've seen some comments saying that we're using this IFBB Pro and misleading people, thinking that they can go to the Olympia. But I definitely haven't, because I've never mentioned Olympia. I think everybody knows that if you want to go to the Olympia, you go to Two Bros, etc. I have no control over the Elite Pro changing their name to IFBB Pro. That's something that they've been in litigation with for about 7 years. I mean, I have nothing to do with that whatsoever, but they've claimed their name back as what I understand it to be. So I can only give the cards from the name that I've been given. I'm under their direction to do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think everyone understands that. I think it's obviously the name, which has nothing to do with BPA, because like you said, this is the link you have with the show, which of course is a link with Night Champions. Let's just go on to 2025, but we'll revert back to a few things in a moment. But 2025, how many shows did you have this year?
I think we had 6, including the British. We had Scottish, Northern Ireland, Masters All Stars, English Grand Prix, and Impact, and then the British. So 6, plus the Dr. Vic now, which is the Super Show. So we did have that last year, just to clarify. It's the last or the first qualifier for 2025. So it is a qualifier. And last year we gave £1,000 prize money or £1,500 prize money to, 500 each for the champions, men's physique, bodybuilding, and overall ladies. This year, the difference is he's given 20,000. So we've gone from 1,500 to 20,000 prize money, but it is actually a qualifier for next year's British. So just like last year, the Dr. Vic Classic, I think it was on the 12th of November. This year, it's after the British again on the 26th of October, but it is a qualifier for next year. So it's called Super Show, but it's still Dr. Vic Show. It's still a qualifier. So I think the Super Show has made people think, oh, it's only for professionals. But no, it's actually a qualifier. We've got novice in it. We've got disability, all the classes. So anybody can enter it. And that's the beauty of it as well. It's not... it's inclusive of everybody. So you don't need to pre-qualify for it. You just need to press the link, enter, and you're in.
It's a really good time as well. It's after the 2 federations got their British finals the weekend before. The weekend after the Super Show, you have got another 2 federations having their British finals and Universe. So it's in a really good place in a busy month that October always is. Yeah. So going to 2025, I want to ask you this. Now, we know how competitive the industry is when it comes to shows. So are you able to give me a bit of understanding about the plans for BPA in 2025 that's going to help the federation elevate itself to climb up the ranks to ensure that it's one of those federations where really all competitors should be looking at? As we know, more competitors are doing multiple federations, and it always seems to be a couple of the same 2 federations, PT and 2 bros, and then it always tends to be maybe 1 or 2 of the others. So what's the plan for 2025 for BPA to really solidify its place as one of those top federations where really competitors and coaches are sending people to, or they are competing in?
Well, we hope that they can see that it is, as I said, the main thing for me, for competitors, because it is, so pricey for people to get ready for a show. They sacrifice so much. A lot of their family lives sacrificed. They have to pay money for tanning, for coaches, bikinis or board shorts, posing coaches. It's all encompassing, and it is quite an expensive hobby. So we trying to keep our costs quite low for people to attract competitors over, and give them really good value for money for the stages. The photography is fantastic. The videography is fantastic. Some of the prizes are great. And we hope to add more shows next year with promoters that have the same feeling about the whole thing as us. So I can let you into one. So at the beginning of the year, we've got March the 23rd, Harry Oggs Scottish Grand Prix. Then we have there may be a one early May, but we're still in discussion. May the 18th is going to be the Rising Stars, which is absolute beginners. And that's with the Masters All Stars, which when I set out to do that, I didn't realize it was going to have such a buzz. But there's so many Masters competitors now that seems to be like a really buzzword for them, the Masters All Stars. So that's the 18th of May. The 24th of May, we're going to Northern Ireland for Stevie Graham's Grand Prix. And then we've got a brand new promoter. His name's Phil Kane. He's from Musseltan. So we're having a Northwest Musseltan Classic or Musseltan Grand Prix. So that's something that I can give you the scoop on there. Then after that, on Friday, I'm meeting with the Impact guys again. So that's tomorrow morning to see if the Impact can go back on. And then there's another one that we're just tweaking with in Glasgow, which sounds very promising. And that would be the end of August. And then obviously I'll stick in there the English Grand Prix. So having 2 to 3 more qualifiers pushes more people to the British finals. And I think nobody wants to stand on the stage alone and, just have that win because it feels like a hollow victory. So the more qualifiers we have, the more we push to the British, and the more competitive the British becomes. So that's the way we're moving. But again, as I say, just still it will be the third year. So we're tweaking things, we're tweaking the stage, we're tweaking different things through admin, through the social media stuff as well. So we're learning as we go, and we're listening really a lot to athletes and coaches to see what they like and what they don't like.
Awesome, man. And will prize money still be something that'll be awarded at all the shows to the overall winners?
Yeah, I mean, where we can possibly. We do it in Scotland, we do it Northern Ireland. I'm sure Phil will do it at his. I do it at the English Grand Prix. We don't do it at the Rising Stars, Masters, All Stars, because we do other things. And obviously, as we grow, if we do get an international recognition somehow, we hope to be able to pay for people to go overseas.
So just wanted to give listeners and also people who are interested in competing, whether it goes in 2025, you mentioned about giving back to the athletes and about stage production, the trophies, the prize money, the production. We've all seen the sprinkling fireworks when you have the overall winners and all the confetti go in the air. We've seen the pictures from the photographer you use. Do you feel then, is it something where maybe you feel that federations aren't doing enough to give back to the athletes, and that's where you guys felt that you could fill the void in being that federation that is giving more back to the athletes, not just in regards to rewards, but also being different when it comes to stage production?
I don't think it was so much that's what we decided to do. It evolved. We sat in a meeting and we discussed things, and Harry Ogg chatted to the guy, Scott from Spotlight Events, and he came up with this concept. And if you remember from Gladiators, we used to come out from a tunnel, and then there was thousands, 8,000 people in the auditorium, and we came out individually and did, what we had to do. And we thought, well, wow, they are gladiators in their own right. Let's get them to be able to do the same thing. So that's how that evolved. But with regards to the trophies, we just saw some of the qualifiers again from where we were, and we saw these plastic cones, and so we can't, in all honesty, give something like that to someone who's been through everything they've been through. And if I go back to when I competed like 30 odd years ago, I've got some beautiful trophies that are actually in my house, and they're ornaments. So they haven't just got a name on them. They look like a figurine. And I've got a few different styles. So that's why we went with the trophies, because we feel like the competitors do deserve them and they love the trophies. But it's not so much that we were trying to get one over on anybody else. This was just our idea and how we felt as people, as competitors ourselves. And I have questioned it because it's a lot of money that we're putting into it. And I sometimes question when I go to another show, because I do visit other venues, and I think, well, the competitors seem just as happy on a not so very good and not so very well lit stage with not so very good trophies. And I've actually asked people, I said, do you think we're doing too much? Do you think it's too much? They said, no, people will come to you, competitors will come to you. Don't stop what you're doing. But you do question everything because, obviously we're laying money out for it. But when we see their faces, it just makes it all worthwhile. Like I can't see anything better than that. When I see them and they're kissing their trophy and they're super happy, whether they win or they get second or third place, they're walking away with a beautiful memento.
No, like I mentioned, I do think the trophies are fantastic. Having that BPA touch on the statues, and I hope I put across the importance of the work that you're doing when it comes to stage production, and how I also think that it is very important for competitors when they are stepping on stage to feel that the stage is different versus other stages they may have competed in. So I do think that with federations, it's so important to put a focus on that stage production, because in the end, that's what people are going to see on the photos. That's what the crowd's going to see. And that's going to be the face of your show.
When you see what we've done, wait until you see the Super Show, because it's going to be another level. Dr. Vic actually has got an events company, so he does all of these. He did the Pakistani Oscars at the weekend, and there was like 10,000 people at Wembley, and he hangs Ferraris from the ceiling and all that sort of jazz. So he's got some big ideas. So I've got to bring that to fruition. So that's the bit that we're doing at the minute. But because it's at the Thistle Hotel, it's not actually a theatre. But we thought for ease for people to be able to come down from their rooms, come into the theatre, not have to wander around the streets. They can go back to their bed when they're finished, sort of thing. So we're building a bespoke stage. We're having the big screens put up. The lighting rigs are going to be out of this world. And there's going to be some special effects and some nice surprises for everybody. But it had to be something bigger than the British. So, yeah. I'm dying to see it myself.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it as well. And like I said, it's a very good time of the month, very good time of the year. So hopefully that will draw more and more competitors, because I've seen plenty of adverts come up on the socials for the show. Look, I do need to, it would be right for me to ask if I do ask you about your previous life with the UK BFF, only because I recently posted a picture today. It was of the top 3 in the British finals, men's physique. Ryan Terry first, Ben Noyes second, Rob Richards third. Really was the evolution of the men's physique division. And I wanted to ask, because then you were obviously with the previous federation, UK BFF, for quite a long time, and in that time, more federations were popping up to a point where there's now nearly over 20 federations in the UK.
I know,
which is scary to think
that everybody, I counted them all. There's quite a few, isn't there?
Exactly. I'm sure there's some independent shows I have missed which aren't affiliated with any federations.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to hear your point, because look, you broke away, you created BPA to better bodybuilding, which it has in the UK. There's no way to go about it. It's definitely the case where you see the production and the work that we put in.
I really appreciate that.
But I do need to ask, the decline of the UK BFF with all the other federations, and I do want to say as well, I do feel they are coming back up as well. What was the reason really for that drop that allowed all the federations to then take its place and go higher as the years goes on? And then UK BFF was falling down. I know it has brought itself back up slowly this year, and I've noticed that, but there was a period where really it wasn't seen as the dominant force it was all those years ago.
I think, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody because I've avoided it this far. I don't think I need to, but just to answer that question simply, I think it was born out of frustration that other organizations started. If you just look back at the organizations that are here, actually, I just spoke to one of them today. Warren Dyson messaged me. He's PCA. He was there as well. Paul Knight, Two Bros, he was there as well. Mike and Lisa Gelsey were there. They moved on as well. I think they went to, I think they're NABA now, but they were, they've been to a couple of places. Scott Horton, he started up his own thing. So I think the people that were frustrated and wanted change and wanted things to happen, it was just on deaf ears. And if you've only got somebody that's willing to say no to everything that you've suggested out of, I don't know the reason, because if somebody came to me with a really good suggestion, I would go, all right, great, run with it. That sounds fantastic. Let's do that. I mean, Harry's doing it at the minute. Harry wasn't happy with certain aspects of the stage on Sunday, got straight onto the guy on Monday. We've made some tweaks and changes because you own the job. So we are not afraid of making changes and listening to people for the good of the organization and for the betterment of everything for the competitors. And I think there wouldn't be half of the organizations had they listened at the time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a fair point, and you answered really well. And I think the point you made there as well is how many great people they had in the organization, including yourselves, where they've gone on, to create their own federation and their own show. And it is easy to go create your own show and federation if you're passionate about bodybuilding and you have those ideas that you want to take forward. Anyone could do it. But then, of course, the most difficult thing is then for it to be consistent and for it to grow over time rather than staying stale. So I do understand your point completely. I just want to finish off then on this final one and just go back to BPA. So we've understood a bit more about the shows lined up for next year. What's the big picture then for BPA? I've told you obviously how saturated the market is when it comes to shows, which is a great thing because it's giving more competitors more avenue. Therefore, more competitors are getting involved in bodybuilding. More coaches are being created. Therefore, that's bringing in more clients than ever before. For BPA, what is the end goal for the federation of where it wants to be in the UK market?
To be honest, we just want to be seen as the friendly organization. We're not a federation, a friendly organization where people feel that they can come and go and they're never judged or banned or suspended or looked at badly if they've been to a show on the Saturday and they come to us on the Sunday. They're all welcome. I wanted to feel like they feel part of it, but not beholden to us in any way, that they can go wherever they like. And I think we haven't got necessarily an end goal until we find out what everybody wants. And as I say, a lot of people think everybody wants to be a pro, but I know that there's downsides to that. I know for myself, when I competed, when I did the Europeans, they said to me, you can have a pro card. And I thought to myself, well, I wanted to do the amateur universe, so I didn't want the pro card then. And then I thought, you know what? I like competing in England. I want to do the Miss England. I want to do the Northwest. And that was more appealing to me than having a few shows that I possibly could afford to go to elsewhere. I mean, for me, I was lucky. I was spotted and I got into the Gladiators. And I would like to think that because of my connections, where I'm being asked by ITV or whoever, do I know somebody that can do this? I mean, I put Carly Thornton for something in TV. And I say to people, if you're on the bodybuilding scene, don't be narrow-minded, think outside the box. And if somebody asks you, can you do this interview or can you do this little TV bit, even if you're not getting paid, just say yes to it, because you have no idea that the opportunities that might open up to you. So there's been a lot of fitness and bodybuilders gone on to much bigger things. And I see bodybuilding as, yes, it's a lifestyle, it's a passion, but it could be a stepping stone to something else.
I agree. And you guys see Jeremy Johal is also going to bodybuilding, and the list does go on. I said that was going to be my final question, but literally one other question did come in my head, and I wanted to ask you this because as one of the more experienced promoters and judges within the UK bodybuilding scene, I do need to ask you about a current predicament that is apparent for UK bodybuilders, and that is the fact that next weekend there is two federations having their British finals on the same weekend for the second year in a row, which is the PCA and the Two Bros having the same British finals on the same weekend, which does put a predicament for competitors in then picking which finals to compete in, given the fact that the look can also be different for certain categories. So I wanted to ask your opinion on why you think that is still the case, where some federations are having their shows clash with each other. And even worse, it's the fact that it's British finals. So we're going to have two British finals on the same day, arguably the two biggest organizations in the UK. I would also put then BPA and FitX in third and fourth, which I like to think the majority would as well, which is a great position to be in. What's your thoughts on that still happening, that competitors are put in a position then to pick which finals to compete in?
I think sometimes it's just a case, especially with us finding a venue that we can book on a certain date. Obviously, we would try and avoid any others because we wouldn't want to interfere with, say, let's say IBFA, or definitely not be on the same weekend as a PCA or whatever. But I think PCA and Two Bros are two completely different entities, to be honest. And I think they both think they're top dog, and in different ways they are. I mean, PCA grow beyond anybody's wildest dreams, I would have thought. But the look of the competitors in PCA, and the look and the format that Two Bros have to go to where they want to go, I think they're completely different looks. So I think anybody competing with Two Bros wouldn't necessarily compete with PCA or BPA. I think they're focused totally on something completely different. So I can't see that as a huge clash, to be honest. I think both will be as busy as the other. And I think PCA probably attract more competitors. I think they're more like us, they're more cost effective as well. I think you have a lot of area qualifiers. I don't think they're just in one. I think, I could be wrong, but I think Two Bros are just in Maidenhead quite a lot. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, they've started having some more shows in other locations. But the point you made there as well, and no doubt it will be a busy weekend. And just like the weekend after, we're also busy for yourselves with all these international competitors. I think that, no, I really do appreciate your time today. And like I said, I've been doing my shows myself. I've also seen from the outside the growth of the BPA, and I've always taken note of three key things when I looked at BPA. One, of course, is for trophies. I think the reality is everyone loves a good trophy. If you can make that trophy have identity to that federation, which you have with the BPA stamp on there with a statue.
It's just a little touch. It's not overkill, is it?
Exactly. But it's enough to get the notice. As I mentioned with the stage production, to see how that's evolved, and like I said, to make it a really big deal, to give it another identity that they may not get anywhere else. In fact, they won't get anywhere else because the stage setup is completely unique to BPA. And then, look, the reality is prize money is still important. Competing is expensive. And the fact that you are giving back for prize money, despite still spending a lot of money on the trophies and production, shows there is a heavy investment going back into the assets.
It absolutely is. It's a lot of money we're putting in, but we do believe in it. And as I said, we've reaped rewards from being involved in bodybuilding previously, and it's nice to be able to give back.
Definitely. So I'm very much looking forward to not only the show coming up in a few weeks' time, the Super Show, and also Night Champions for the pros, but also 2025. And I guess my side, I'm interested also to see is there going to be an international affiliation? Like I said, not everybody wants to compete internationally, but at the same time, if you're able to dangle that carrot for other competitors to climb the ranks through BPA, that's only going to enhance the federation's stature within the UK.
To have. So we obviously are in talk. So we can't say anything until something solid happens. But yeah, if if they want to go to, I think there was some guys in Rome last weekend, or obviously Spain. The big ones. We'll just keep talking and see where we get. But we want to have something that's aligned with our values as well. It's not just, oh, let's do an international just for the sake of it. We want the right focus on it.
Excellent. Helen, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.